Hello and welcome to this Broad Street Hockey free agency stream here. I am Ryan Gilbert. Joining me is Kyle chasing the puck. Flyers made some moves. Well, I think they're one of the most active teams so far in free agency. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm great. Flyers are tampering. Shit is happening. If these are not my favorite signings, I'm not going to shit on them too much because at the end of the day, if you look big picture, these are not hamstringing us in any way. And so I want to thank Danny Briere and company for getting their business done by 1:20 p.m. Eastern time. Those guys are going to the cottage.
Yeah, they're like, all right, let's do some tampering. Let's go to the cottage. Let's enjoy our summer here. And yeah, like they could have just like they signed Noah Juleson, a former Canuck, played with under Rick Toccett, depth defenseman. They signed Layden Peterson, looks like an AHL signing, but also signed Christian Dvorak to a 1-year, $5.4 million deal. That's the issue. A lot of people. That's the point. A lot of people have an issue with is the $5.4 million. They also signed Dan Vladar, former Flames goalie, to a 2-year contract at $3.35 million AAV there. So that one, more acceptable. But yeah, I think Dvorak is really the main one we should start with. I threw his name out there last night on my socials there. I was checking with my sources and whatnot, and they said Christian Dvorak. Check out Christian Dvorak. I was like, all right, former Canadian. Before that, played for the Coyotes, played under Rick Toccett. I did a quick search. Rick Toccett, Christian Dvorak. It looked like he relied on him as his defensive center. Seems like a Ryan Poehling replacement, but at $5.4 million, that's the sticking point.
So $5.4 million, you see that number, and it's alarming. However, two things. Number one, it's 1 year. Number two, the cap is up to, what is the cap? 93.5, 94.5?
At least that, because the Flyers,
right.
95.5, 95.5.
95. So let's just all hold our fucking horses, because 5.5, I'm not going to do the math right now. Christian Dvorak is not the center I would have signed. We'll go more in depth with this. But if Toccett is comfortable with him, you mix in a bunch of different bottom six center options. Dvorak is fantastic in the faceoff circle. It's $5.5 million. It's not the end of the world. It's 1 year. It's 1 year. If this was spanning into next summer where so-and-so needs an extension or so-and-so needs, you gotta really dip your toe into the pool for free agency. That's not the case. It's just not the case. So,
Yeah, I was ready to come on here and talk some people off the ledge with this Dvorak signing 5.4 being too much. I mean, Friedman reported it first at 4.5, and that was even too much. And then he was like, "Oh no, it was backwards there."
Dyslexic.
Another million there. But if you think about it, like Dvorak probably had options. He could have went to a contender and gotten $3 million for a year, maybe $2 million. So you're paying that extra tax of not being a contender. And the issue is going to come, trade deadline time. If the Flyers are not in the mix and Dvorak is an option, you can only retain 50%. That still gets them at $2.7 million. And, we've seen like this past trade deadline, we had to retain on Lawton and Kuzmenko there. So that's going to become the issue. But they did need some center insurance. I mean, Poehling gone for Zegras, obviously an upgrade, but you got Zegras, you got Cates, you have Couturier. Yeah, you got Luchenko, but you don't know if he's actually going to be ready if the Flyers want to, quote unquote, rush him to the NHL. You don't know what Dorwert's going to be like. So you're getting Dvorak, who's a steady bottom six guy, hopefully fourth line center. He can play wing if he has to, I think, and then just come in and take the faceoffs there. Because, like you said, career 53% in the faceoff dot, 55.8% last year, 55% in all 3 years under Rick Toccett. So reliable guy, can kill penalties, can keep your top guys fresh for after the PKs.
So let me ask you this, just sort of big picture coming into the day. Did you have any either positional holes or certain players that you kind of favored?
I think it was clear they needed a bottom six center. They needed a bottom six forward that's experienced that they can rely on, because we can point to, like I said, oh, we got Luchenko here, we got Grabenkin could make the team, we got Bump, we got all these guys that could take a step up. But then you think about it, through an 82 game season, like, ideally you can put those kids out there, but it's not always going to be the best, and especially someone like Rick Toccett, who's going to want to have some safe options out there. So I think center was one of the needs, and goalie. Well, goalie was the clear number one need. I know you did a video yesterday with Joe. I did not get a chance to watch that, but if you can give what are the quick cliff notes of that?
I think we came to an agreement that. So,
wait, breaking news! Oh. The Flyers have signed my cousin Dennis Gilbert. I might have to get a Gilbert jersey.
Oh,
man, is he like the fighter? Did he have a few fights?
I think he seems like an AHL signing.
I think he's really big.
Yes, that's in my mind.
6'2", not really big, but 6'2".
In my mind, Dennis Gilbert was a big fighter kind of guy. He's to me, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just going on the vibes live. I think he's an AHL guy.
Yeah, he's never played more than 34 NHL games in a season. Last year between Buffalo and Ottawa. Not sure if he was part of that Dylan Cousins trade there, but yeah, he seems like a depth guy along with Wilson there. You need these type of players. You need these type of players. We're not going to talk about him too much here, but last year played primarily in the NHL, did not play in the AHL. He must have had some sort of injury there, but
gotcha.
Just more depth signings there. But Dvorak and Vladar are the main
before
two.
this massive Dennis Gilbert signing. Sorry, remind me, what was your question?
What your video with Joe? Like, if you can give a quick 1 minute, 2 minute summation.
1 minute summation. We went over the holes, which we all knew, whether we agreed with it or not. I think everyone knew going into free agency that the Flyers were going to look to address, if it made sense, Danny Briere's catchphrase, bottom six center, and more important, a goalie to split the load with Ersson. Long story short, I think Joe was much more on the train of, let's just let it ride with the center depth we have available, and goalies definitely need to sign a 1A, 1B kind of guy. Probably ends up that we both have, Ersson and whoever we signed are ultimately, like, if you think of them, backups. So with the two guys, specifically Dvorak and Vladar, we got, those are the guys we signed. Personally, not the guys I would have signed, but it's not the end of the world. Like Vladar, so behind the scenes, behind the curtain, right when 12 struck, I was working on a video to post how my two choices for center, bottom six center, would have been Lars Eller, and my goalie tandem backup 1A, 1B guy would have been Alex Lyon. What is Vladar's contract?
Vladar's contract, it's 2 at 3.3, I believe I saw
Perfect.
there. Yeah,
perfect.
3.35.
Nothing.
He's 27 there. I thought you were going to say Joe was very much on the train of trade for Stuart Skinner, because he's been
wow. Come on now.
That pretty good. And I thought, like, if I had more time over the past week or so, I was thinking like the Flyers could very well, might be worth trading for a goalie rather than signing one, because Jake Allen was the belle of the ball, and he's Jake Allen. He got 5 years, $1.8 million, a little bit of cap circumvention there.
Yeah.
for the Devils. But then, yeah, you have Vladar, you have Samsonov, you have
Right.
Gorgiev, you have Anton Forsberg. Like,
ton of guys.
I'd rather trade for like a Shelovs or a Gibson before he got moved. Like
Right.
guys like that. But Vladar, he's a solid backup. He's a backup goalie. Career save percentage 895. Last year 898. Before we went live, I was looking at his save percentage compared to the Flyers team save percentage during his career. Last year, Vladar 898, Flyers 872. Year before that, Flyers 884, Vladar 882. Year before that, Flyers 893, Vladar 894. And year before that, Flyers 894, Vladar 906. So he's the guy that you know what you're going to get, I think, for him. It's going to be, most of the time, it's fine. You're not going to be seeing any Cal Peterson or Fedotov or Kolosov stinkers here and there. It's someone to be like, all right.
He's an NHL goalie.
He's an NHL goalie.
Whether he's a backup, a 1A, a 1B.
I don't think he's
whatever.
He's not a 1A.
But he's an NHL goalie in the way that Fedotov and Kolosov and goddamn Cal Peterson are not. There's a sort of floor and ceiling of what an NHL goalie is. And Vladar, not my first choice. I don't think it's a terrible signing, but Vladar will. I think the most interesting thing to me about Vladar is his age. I don't think there's necessarily anything that, if you dig into his sort of surface level stat numbers and his sort of deeper level stat numbers, that really excite me too much. But the thing is, he's, I want to say 25, 27.
He's 27, 28 next month. Yeah.
27, 28 for these type of goalies where it's, you've been in the NHL for a little bit and you've been up and down. You've been sort of getting your sea legs. Those guys could break out. They could sort of just establish themselves as, backup depth options. So for me, Vladar, not the worst option, but I think the interesting thing about him is he is young enough that, based on Sam Ersson's contract, potentially we could sort of, whether it's us forcing the sort of issue on Sam Ersson in arbitration or contract negotiations, or if it's just sort of the natural Sam Ersson realizing, hey, I'm around this guy's age. We've played, I'm probably a little younger than him in terms of NHL seasoning. Is this guy coming for my job? I think those tangential things are enough to be like a healthy competition for the two. Vladar is probably trying to establish himself as, hey, I could be a 1B / really solid backup option. You might hey contenders, sign me. You could trade for me at the deadline, or you could sign me or trade me for me in the off season. I think those things line up towards a healthy competition. That's what I would say. And I mean, I think, to me personally, because I don't know how, like the goalie situation is a big deal, but to me, the big thing about Vladar is we've got multiple meme options for Darth Vader and Vader the wrestler.
plenty of memes, plenty of puns there. And yeah, Vladar is a 1B and Ersson's probably a 1B. And if you have two 1Bs, that's not the best. You're not going to win any playoff series. You're probably not going to make the playoffs unless you have a great PDO or great 5-on-5 numbers or whatever there. But yeah, like you said, he's at that age where he can maybe turn a corner a bit. He played behind Dustin Wolf in Calgary, so maybe he can help Ersson grow his game a little bit. Also, didn't realize he's 6'5", so he's one of the bigger goalies. Maybe
Yes.
he can help Fedotov be like, hey, control your body more here a little bit, something like that. And it got me thinking about last year with the Canucks with Rick Toccett. Kevin Lankinen came into the Canucks with much better career numbers than Dan Vladar, but Kevin Lankinen was great for the Canucks. Like, he was with Demko out, he had put up a 9-on-2 save percentage, kept them in it for more of the season than they should have been. Like, if Toccett can do that with Vladar, if the Flyers' defensive system can be a little bit better in front of him than it was in Calgary, like, just give me a 900 save percentage. That is all I want. Give me a goalie and a not terrible power play, and this Flyers team is right in the mix in the Metro.
Yes.
It's just such a bad division.
Yeah. I think most of the people watching are sort of on board. We are not looking for the next second coming backup who could stealth become, some superstar, or like, down the road, hey, we get into the playoffs and, oh my God, Dan Vladar is going to steal us 2 rounds. Like,
you never know. Michael Layton. You never know.
Michael Layton. We just need someone to be able to me, the goalie situation was 2 things. Number 1, prove that you have been in the league enough to take 20, 30, 40 starts. And number 2, not get shelled in that time. Because really what we need to see is, this is a larger conversation about Sam Ersson. I feel like the goalie conversation is a Sam Ersson conversation, because it's really what you believe or think right now about Sam Ersson. Some people think he has no potential, and we may as well just, at the end of this season, this coming season, his contract's going to expire, and we should either trade him or extend him really low so that he's a valuable trade asset. And some people are like, you know what? And I fall into this category I'm about to say is, I don't know. For 1, goalies take a long time. For 2, Sam Ersson, for the majority of his career, maybe the entirety of his career, I'd have to look, the coach in front of him was John Tortorella. And I think one thing that I am very interested in, that I'm eventually going to put a video out on this, is how do goalies do in front of or behind teams that block a lot of shots? There are certainly goalies who want to, I know Briz, but I think also Pekka Rinne was one of those goalies who was like, listen, let me see the shot more times than not. I prefer to see the shot. Listen, defensemen, forwards, I know what the coach is telling you, but if you could sort of get out of the way so I could get a clear view of it, I would rather be beaten by that than be pissed off that, it got double deflected because a giant body was in the way, or it hit off someone's shin, or whatever. And Rick Toccett, we'll see. Like, this is something that I wish I could ask Rick, is when you look at Rick Tockett's last 2 tenures, the one further away is with Arizona, and the one more recent is with Vancouver. With Arizona, it was sort of up and down. If you looked at the team's sort of block shots per 60 compared to the rest of the league, I think the first year he got there, it was 30th out of 31 teams. The second year, it was 3rd. But then the following 2 years, it was like middle of the pack, like 14, 15, 16. But in Vancouver, it was always very low, lower end of block shots. So I just wonder, like, I think it's something to, personally for me, I think it's something to sort of mine and dig deeper into. Like, we've heard it from goalies, whether they're, a legendary starter like Pecorine or, whatever you want to call Ilya Brizgalov. Some goalies just like to see the puck.
Mhm.
And that's something I've been looking more into with this roster change, because, or not with this roster, with this coaching change, because there's no denying that not Rick Toccett, John Tortorella was one of the most shot blocking heavy coaches of this era. And so I think it's worth examining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. These are the hottest people I've ever seen. Have you seen Bill?
Exactly. You've seen Bill and Steve. I mean, come on, yeah. With Vladar, it's like you said, with the shot blocking, I think they probably looked at the goaltending market with that in mind, or I think they had to have, because a lot of these signings, like, you can question them, or a lot of these moves, even if you want to include the draft, is like, you can question them, but you can see the logic behind it. You can see why they did it. It's not like why did they go out and sign Dale Weiss to this contract? It's okay. They needed a center, they can take faceoffs. They need a goalie they can rely on. And the thing with Vladar, thinking about it from like a fan perspective, you want a backup goalie that if you're going to the game, you have tickets to the game, and you're like, oh, the backup's starting tonight. You're not like, oh shit, why am I going to this game? Why am I seeing
10-3?
And same thing for the players too. It's like, all right, we trust our backup. We can go out there and still have a chance to win. And looking at the on Hockey Reference, they have the goalie quality starts, which is a save percentage above 88.5 in a start, and really bad starts, which is a save percentage below 85%. So last year, Sam Ersson made 45 starts. He had 19 quality starts and 14 really bad starts. So, two extremes there. And then Vladar, he made 29 starts. 17 of them were quality and just 5 really bad starts. So Dan Vladar is gonna keep you in games. He's gonna be a guy that you're not gonna have a rotating cast of goalies on the bench as a backup with Fedotov and Kolosov and whoever else. This solidifies your goaltending position. It's not the best. It's not the answer, but
this is not the end of the world.
No,
this is not the end of the world. This is a perfectly suitable 1B backup, whatever, depth guy. I'm probably on my end. Am I clipping or lagging?
You were, but I wasn't sure if it was me, because
I just saw about Forster.
I had just saw that in the chat as well, so I opened.
I just saw that apparently Tyson Forster has an injury, could be a torn bicep.
Yeah.
Long story short, Forster could potentially miss some time. That's
okay.
That's something for a later day.
Yeah.
Personally, right now it's July 1 at 1:42. We have the next 4 months to really talk about that. So bummer, because I love Forster. I think this is a big year for him under Toccett. But do you want to talk about Christian Dvorak?
Yeah, I mean, we can. I'm not sure how much we can really dig into him. I know I've seen the pictures of the charts out there, how he does in all 3 zones or whatnot there. But yeah, looking at him, I compared him like a Ryan Poehling replacement. Like Ryan Poehling last year had a career high 31 points, 12 goals, 19 assists, only 68 games. But then you look at Dvorak, 33 points, 12 goals, 21 assists. So almost nearly identical numbers. Dvorak typically averages 15 minutes last year, 16 minutes in his career. So Poehling has 13-minute career average time on ice. So yeah, it seems like a good guy to replace him.
Yeah.
He can pot 10 goals. He scored 18 and 17 in Arizona a few times, a few 15-goal seasons there. So former second-round pick, former London Knight. So he has skill to put the puck in the net. It was frustrating with Ryan Poehling when you saw him on a breakaway or in close. You were like, all right, it's Ryan Poehling. He's probably not going to do it. But
yeah,
I mean, Dvorak, decent shooting percentage, great in the faceoffs, can hopefully be your PK1 probably. with Palin gone.
Yeah, I'd have to check. What I would say about Dvorak. So, for those of you watching, I see we got 80, close to 100 people.
Oh wait. First of all, yeah, everyone watching, subscribe, ring that bell, do all that good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you watching. Let us know, thumbs up, thumbs down, a comment in the chat. Are you okay about the Vladar signing? Because I feel like we got to the Vladar signing, the end of the Vladar signing, and I just want to see, we've got people watching. Are you for it, against it? Do you think it's terrible? Are you sort of more on the Broad Street Hockey side where it's like, if it fails, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to hamstring us too bad. Going into the more, not to say more advanced stats, but like you said, Dvorak, face-off percentage is a huge asset for him. So to me, when I look at Dvorak, I looked at his last 3 seasons. So 3 seasons ago, 52% face-off percentage. 2 seasons ago, 57.8, almost 60% in the face-off dot. And then last year, 55.8% in the face-off dot, so almost 56. Those are huge numbers. So to me, that might be the best stat about that Dvorak has. We have 2 centers in the pipeline who are NHL centers who are less than average on or in the faceoff dot, Trevor Zegras and Noah Cates. I wonder if it was at all a priority in terms of looking at the, sort of stats makeup of these guys. We've got 2 centers who are not great, Zegras and Cates, and we've got 2 centers who are great in faceoffs in Sean Couturier and Christian Dvorak. Those guys could be very helpful to Zegras and Cates in terms of just sort of giving them pointers. We don't need every guy on this roster to be 58% in the faceoff dot. We just need them to be like, I was blown away. I didn't realize what Zegras' faceoff percentage was like. I think his best year was like 43, which is crazy. And I think last year it was like 36.
Last year was 36. That's bad.
Yeah, that's. And
the year he was
stunning.
He was 43. He only took 96 faceoffs, so a very small sample size there.
Right. So these 2 guys could help in the faceoff dot. Great. Dvorak, in terms of durability, 3 years ago 64 games, 2 years ago 30 games, last year 82 games. Really, what in my opinion, what I was looking for in a bottom 6 center on the UFA market was someone who could play 40-ish games. Because the thing is, to me, it's Couturier, Zegras, Cates, and then whoever. And then Cates and Dvorak could sort of flip-flop depending on, the stretch that they're in. But you also have to mix in Rodrigo Abels, Corson Dorwart, Jacob Gaucher. And I'm not saying those guys are going to be long-term center solutions, but you need to see what you have. And to have Christian Dvorak as a guy there to understand that he's not the belle of the ball, he's not pivotal in terms of our roster depth. He's there to maybe teach the guys below him, here's how you take face-offs, this, that, and the other thing. Here's how you kill penalties. It's 1 year. I don't care if they paid him $8 million. It's not that big of a deal. So, like I said, it wouldn't be my preferred preference. I would have went for Lars Eller. But if Lars Eller and his agent are keen on re-signing in Washington, or he wants to chase a cup, like you can't force people and then wait too long and then you're stuck signing I don't even know who. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Christian Dvorak.
Yeah, and they hired Rick Toccett. They said, we've already had agents calling us about stuff. I have to think that was Dvorak's agent. Dvorak was like, all right, I'm a free agent. I played with Toccett. I started my career with Toccett. He trusts me a lot. Let's see what we can work here with the Flyers. So once again, this is players wanting to come to Philadelphia. Obviously, we overpaid them a little bit, and the money is going to be an issue, but the Flyers have the money to use with the cap space, and also they're a team that can spend to the cap. You see the Senators, they have a soft cap internally. They're not spending to the cap. The Flyers are one of these big markets that can spend to the cap. And yeah, I mean, faceoffs is, it's talked about as being important, but I feel like that's only like when you're watching the game, like, oh, we got to really win this faceoff. It's not like, okay, we need players that can win faceoffs, because last year, yeah, Couturier 56%, Abels at 58%. I have to think that might have been why he got so much playing time. Frost 51, Paling 50, and then Cates 44. And getting Dvorak, you put Dvorak out there with Cates and another winger, have Dvorak win the faceoff, and then Dvorak gets off the ice for the winger that he's on there for. Like, that's something you see teams do. You have Dvorak win the opening faceoff in overtime and then get off the ice for a skilled player. So I think Dvorak's going to bring a lot of stuff that is not going to necessarily show up with the points or whatnot. And looking at his line mates last year, he played primarily almost all of his minutes with Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson. You can kind of squint and see Bobby Brink and Tyson Forster in those two a little bit. If they want Cates to play elsewhere, you can maybe, put him with a Tippett and whoever else. Like, there are options with him, because right now, like, you listed Couturier, I'm not first among centers. I'm not sure if you're putting him as the 1C, but anyone could be the 1C. Anyone could be the 2C. Like, 1 to 4, I mean, Zegras is probably going to be in the top 6, but these are 4 centers that are going to compete. You can mix and match. You can have 4 second, third lines out there. And if Luchenko wows everybody, if Luchenko makes people go, oh, wow, he's got to make the roster, then, you put Luchenko out there and you put Dvorak out there, give him tips for the faceoff there. So a little bit too much money, it's going to be an issue if you try to trade him, but I don't think it's anything to really complain too much about.
Yeah, I agree. Like, listen, there's going to be people who shit their fucking pants saying we signed Noah Juleson and Christian Dvorak and Dan Vladar and Lane Peterson.
Dennis Gilbert.
Dennis Gilbert. And it's just, it's really not, none of these contracts are long-term. None of these contracts hamstring us in terms of the cap. I have been a Danny Briere sort of apologist. It's not even apologist. I don't think he's done anything, I don't think he's done too many things that warrant apology.
There's nothing that you can point at and be like, that was a bad move there. I mean, we'll look at the Nesbitt stuff. Well, I'm going to discuss that with Joe on the Broad Hockey podcast. He has some spicy takes.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's like the only thing. That's the only thing you can point at and be like, that could end up being bad.
Getting Porter Martone cuts all of the, oh man, I wonder, that's a bad move. What if we got this guy instead? To me, it cuts all of that off the Jack Nesbitt discourse. I mean, it's 152, July 1st, 2025, in Porter Martone's in Voorhees, New Jersey. Like, I think like, this is, we are on, listen, is it your favorite move? Is it your preferred move? Did we do, I feel like everything is such a purity test of, the Flyers did 90% of the things that I wanted them to do because I know this, that, and the other thing. We are undoubtedly, and if you disagree, go ahead and put it in the chat, but the things we've done in the last 12 months as an organization in terms of roster, assets, we are way more on an upward trajectory than I
Yes.
can't even I can't even summon the last time that we were on this sort of good vibes trajectory. And like that is also with me acknowledging that, you know, what, 8 years ago, that we had one of the highest ranked prospect pools according to, you know, public prospect people. Like the Hextall, like at the time, Hextall's draft picks and this, that, and the other thing, it was seen as such a, oh my God, we got one of the best prospect pools ever.
Yeah.
And how did it turn out? And the reality is, I've become very skeptical after that.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of prospect people saying, oh man, this is a can't miss prospect class. Not to say that they don't know what they're talking about or to say that they're wrong, but I think what we have going for us is exponentially more promising than what we had under Ron Hextall.
Absolutely. Like, and we've seen much better development. We've seen Tyson Forster, you know, his skating was questionable. Now he's passable. Like, he's not fast, but he's passable. We've seen these guys develop into players. We've seen Bobby Brink become, you know, work on his defensive game and whatnot. And what you were starting to say there about like this is something the Flyers needed to do. Like, you know what's great about today? The Flyers did something. Who did the Flyers sign last summer? No, nobody. Did they even sign like an AHL guy on July 1st? The big move was getting Michkov over early. Like they did nothing last summer, and now they're so. And that was Briere being like, "All right, we need this year. Let's figure out what we got." Ended up trading Farabee, traded Frost, traded Lawton. They're like, "All right, let's tear it down a bit more. Wait." And now this summer, they're like, "All right, let's get that backup goalie." Fedotov and Kolosov did not work. Let's go get Dvorak. Let's make that big swing, get Zegras. Not even a big swing. You gave up a Ryan Poehling, who I feel bad for Ryan Poehling just being lumped into this, you know, Flyers got to steal for Zegras. I also feel bad for when he returns to the Farg and Cutter Gauthier is getting that shit.
Yeah. If they put up a tribute for Poehling, like he will get well received because he was a very effective, like, put it this way, we didn't sign him expecting him to be a top six center.
Exactly.
We signed him to be a bottom six center, and he was more than passable as a bottom six center. And so, yeah, it's not the Farg anymore.
It's always the Farg. It's always the Farg.
It's the Wachovia Center, the FU Center.
And yeah, I was going to say that. I'm upset about Poehling. Like, I'm not calling Poehling trash, but he was on the scrap heap. Briere picked him up, turned him into a Trevor Zegras trade.
100%.
He did a similar thing with
100%
with Sean Walker. Like, most people viewed Sean Walker as like a throw in contract throw in. He turned him into a first round pick that was half of the picks used to go up and get Nesbitt. Like, Briere is finding these pieces. They're gaining value in Philadelphia, and he's using them to grow the next step. And that's an important thing in a rebuild, in a retool, whatever you want to call this, is getting your assets in, maximizing them, getting them to their max value, and taking advantage when you can.
Exactly. And the thing I will say, sort of overarching about what you were just saying, is not to say the barometer of being a good GM or the barometer of being a successful GM is doing better than Chuck Fletcher and Ron Hextall did. But at the same time, we can't deny that most fans, even including ourselves, you know, instinctually kind of compare what we're doing against the past 10 off seasons. And I think they just, we saw, thank you, Jen. Yeah, we saw that. I think that's more of an AHL signing.
Lane Peterson, he hasn't played in the NHL since 2023. So,
yeah, but I mean, end of day, let me ask you, Gilbs, as far as the names, contracts, roster holes that they're filling, um, what would you give this free agent signing crop?
Yeah. And before I do that, you remind me of something I wanted to say. Like everything that everyone does now, especially nowadays with social media, everyone has to have a take on it. It's either great or it's horrible. On a scale of 1 to 10, there's no scale of 1 to 10. It's 0 to 1. It's a binary scale for most people. And if it's
Zero is yeah, it's either a 0 or a
zero
10.
or a 10, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a 5 or a 6, it's just like, okay, like you can't really have a take about that. Like you can't get engagement. You can't get clout off of
Right.
being like, yeah, this is an okay move. This is whatever. So before we end this stream at some point, not right now, but we're gonna take like 5-10 minutes and role play as negative fans. We're gonna point out all the negative of today, the negative of the past week, just to get that out, just to acknowledge the downside of it. But yeah, I mean, this free agency today, all things considered,
Holy okay, hold on.
a
Sorry.
solid
I have
B,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like to
like
me,
a C at worst.
to me, here's what this is a weird thing to say, and like just follow me for a second. To me, in the situation that the Flyers are in right now, and what they needed, to me, what we did today, again, this is not what I would have done if I was in the GM chair, but there's also shit behind the scenes that I don't know. I would have signed Lars Eller. Maybe you talk to Lars Eller's agent and he's like, Lars really wants to go for a cup. He wants one more year at a crack at a cup, and he's not going to sign with you. What are you going to fucking do? Like, You're not going to, I'm going to go sign fucking Brock Besser so that I could sign, whoever. Like, okay, to me, a B plus, we're in the range that we are. A B plus is an A plus for us, and to me, I would give it a B. I don't love the guys we signed, but none of them are handcuffing us. None of them are albatrosses. To me, it just gives us depth and options for this new coaching staff. Now, for bottom six centers, we have Noah Cates, Christian Dvorak, Rodrigo Abels, Jacob Gaucher. That's 4 people between 2 spots, and that's without mentioning Jet Luchenko. What if he is, after a summer of taking it easier and just recuperating and training, what if he comes in September and just blows the doors off? Which isn't to say he's going to blow the doors off all season, but what if he says what if his play dictates you have to give me a roster spot?
Exactly. Yeah.
And none of the people that we signed block anyone, and I don't care what you say. So to me, this is a B plus July 1st by 2 p.m.
Yeah. For first 2 hours of free agency, solid grade there. And also, you mentioned those players. I think signing Dvorak could help Porter Martone's case to make the team. If he comes into camp, he shows out.
Now with Forster hurt?
You're also with Forster hurt, but even if Forster was healthy, like you're not going to put Martone with Zegras. You're not going to put him necessarily with Cates. You put him with Dvorak, an experienced center that your coach trusts, that is defensive, that can handle the faceoffs, that can win faceoffs, so you get possession most of the time. Put Dvorak with Martone and I don't know, like a Brink, Grabenkin, whoever else. Like that's a fine signing. And let me ask you this, and most fans in the chat, you can answer as well. You can hit us up on Twitter, on Blue Sky, whatever answer. Would you rather have Dvorak 1 season at 5.4 million or 2 seasons at 3.5 million or 2 seasons at 4 million? Like you want the 1-year deal. You want the option to trade him as a pending free agent or keep him just for the 1 year.
If you keep him, it's nothing. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'm thinking in terms of years. It's nothing. Next summer is when books really open up because of buyouts and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And like Christian, again, like I said, I don't care if we sign Dvorak to 8 years, or not 8 years, 8 mil. It's not going to hurt us next year because it's 1 year. I've heard people say this in baseball. There is no such thing as a bad 1 year contract.
There's not, especially in a situation the Flyers are in. They're not competing. They don't have much cap space left. They have 6.2 left. I imagine most of that goes to Cam York. So maybe that's the downside. Is like, all right, we can't speculate all summer long about who else the Flyers could move or could add or could trade for, but they can still make moves. They can still move out contracts. They can LTIR Ellis. They can, I trust Danny Briere to maneuver if he has to there. And I'm looking back now on last year who they signed on July 1st. So I just want to apologize to the signings there. They signed Eric Johnson.
EJ.
And they signed Tony Dick on July 2nd last year. So two fantastic characters there that they
and Tony Dick is still in the mix.
Yeah. Yes.
Not that it matters too much, but just to sort of wrap things up, because the free agent frenzy, regardless of where your team is, whether they're the biggest buyer or the lowest seller, it's fun because you get to be like, oh my God, that contract, they signed that guy for this. Vladislav Gavrikov going to the New York Rangers, 7 times 7.
And he didn't get more than Provorov.
That was my thought. First thought was that dude got less than Provorov. I mean, Provorov's agents, you gotta give them. I hope he gives them 10% at least.
Yeah, Columbus looks like it's on the up and up, and then you see stuff like that, and you're like, all right, that's why you've never done anything in your 20 years as a franchise.
I have having been to the Columbus, like gone to Columbus and saw some of their games in Columbus. Like, I would love for the era of Columbus sort of contention. Like, it's a fun little like small city. It's a small market. And like, to me, going into free agency, like, to me, it was always like, man, you know where Mitch Marner should sign? Columbus. Because they've been trying to get him forever. And after the Johnny Gaudreau tragedy, they've been looking for a sort of new, like, rallying cry kind of guy, like someone they could all rally around. And like, Mitch Marner there would have been like, they would have forgiven completely all of the past quote unquote transgressions, didn't show up in the playoffs, soft in the media, whatever. They would have been like, we don't care. Mitch Marner's a 100-point player, and he fucking came to Columbus. We love this dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just get us to the playoffs. Like, we just want to make the playoffs, especially with how weak the division is. Like, they have a great young core too. Like, that would have been a perfect fit. Like, it was so fun when they had Panarin there, when Bob was there winning Vezinas. Like, that was a great time to watch Columbus with the cannon going off and everything. So
Torts.
Yeah, Torts. But of course, he goes to Vegas. So, Vegas just pulls cap room out of their ass and
fuck Vegas.
Yeah.
I will never feel sad for Vegas for a long time.
No.
So,
Kyle, let's get your negative views out on this. What are the downsides of the signing? I guess let's start. I mean, Dvorak and Vladar are really the only two worth talking about. The other ones are less than $1 million. They're going to be depth signings. But can you believe the Flyers paid Christian Dvorak $5.4 million and gave Dan Vladar a further backup?
To me, the Dvorak signing, there is not even 1/10% of negativity, because we have 4 other guys to battle it out for the bottom 6. So to me, the Dvorak signing wouldn't be what I have done, but he's great at faceoffs. Teach teach Noah Cates, teach Trevor Zegras. The one the one negative I will sort of, you know, wax on is Dan Vladar. He's no guarantee to be better than Sam Ersson. And so what if next year you have two Sam Erssons of this past season, 24, 25? That's not a great spot to be in. Is it better than Ersson and Fedotov? Yes. But to me, I still believe in Ersson. To me, the thing is, to me, one of the 1A, 1B things about getting a good backup goalie or tandem goalie, whatever you want to say, is giving the forwards and the defensemen sort of someone stable back there outside of Sam Ersson to evaluate them on. You know, you don't want to do another season where it's Sam Ersson and Ivan Fedotov level goaltending from last year. You want two guys who are decent enough. You don't need Vezinas. You don't need. I'll even take 10%, 20% below league average for both Ersson and Vladar next year, and that's a step up. So negative Nancy. Yeah, we played Dvorak too much. No, there's no guarantee Vladar is going to be better than Ersson was last year, but, you know, nothing hamstrung us.
Yeah. Well, I think Dvorak, there is more negative than you think. I think the contract is going to be an issue when it comes to the trade deadline. I think, you know, that $5.4 million, you can only get it down to $2.7 million. A lot of these teams that are going to be wanting him, if you're looking to trade him, are not going to have that room. So you might have to take back a bad contract. But it's very, you know, on the whole, it's a good signing. It's a great signing. Like, I give Dvorak signing I think probably both a B. Like, I feel like they're both around a B. Like, and Dvorak gives you the option of play him with Trevor Zegras. You can put Zegras on the left wing, like a Zegras, Dvorak, something else line. Like that gives you so many options, so much flexibility at forward there.
Yes. And worst comes to worst. Yeah. Worst comes to worst. Zegras isn't progressing at faceoffs, I don't know, a third into the year. Okay, we'll slide Noah Cates into 3C, and we'll put Dvorak on the left wing, and he'll be the one who takes the draws while Zegras in the faceoff dot. As soon as they win the draw, Dvorak goes off, and, you know, that kind of thing.
And Vladar, you mentioned it with the skaters, you know, they're going to know who's in net and be able to be steady with him. But also Sam Ersson is going to know that, okay, I have the night off. I don't have to be worried about Fedotov giving up 4 goals in the first period and then me going.
True.
I just did a quick look at Dan Vladar's game log from last season. He made 29 starts. How many times do you think he was pulled?
Was he okay? Was he on Calgary?
He was on Calgary with Dustin Wolf.
Dustin Wolf, Calgary, 29 starts. How many times was he pulled? I'm gonna say 7.
0.
Oh!
He was pulled 0 times. I mean,
there
were a few games he got lit up. He gave up 8 to Tampa Bay. He gave up 6.
That's all I need to hear, Gilbs.
Pittsburgh. But he when he starts, he goes out there. He plays the full 60 minutes. Like, that's something that I think is going to be huge for Ersson, and it puts Ersson. Ersson now knows what his role is. Like, you're both 1B.
Yes.
Ersson's probably going to get, you know, a 50-30 split of the starts, because Vladar's last year 29 starts was a career high for him. But Vladar is going to be a solid, reliable, consistent backup. You know, not consistently great, but consistently average. And that's all we need.
Yeah, and the thing I'll say about that, when you say those ages, what it brings me to is what that does is what it brings to mind to me is it tells Sam Ersson, hey, you are the younger guy. You have 2 years to prove you could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's as a bona fide number one starter, I don't think that that's probably his the rest of his NHL career, but it could be a 1B kind of thing. But what it tells Vladar is, how old is he again?
He's going to be 28 in August.
Okay. What this does for Vladar is say, hey, listen, you're here for 2 years. If you light it up, we can move you at this deadline. We can move you in the summer. We can move you at the following deadline. If you prove that you are better than what you've shown, you are a hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like I said, this comes back to, for me, a lot of people are like, I'm out on Ersson, and he's not this, he's not that. He's only had one coach, and that is John Tortorella, and John Tortorella teams are all about blocked shots. I'm not saying it's a guarantee that Sam Ersson is going to show, 964 save percentage under a coach who blocks shots less, but let's see what he has. Let's see what he, like you said, if he knows his backup in Dan Vladar or his tandem partner in Dan Vladar, very likely isn't going to warrant a pull, let him take the mental and physical break. I think I really want to see the data of what Ersson looks like with that kind of partner.
Yeah, and I remember, I think last off season I looked into how Sam Ersson did based off how many days rest and also how many games off he had. I'm trying to find that article here really quickly.
Yeah, and I will have that soon. I'm currently, I took a little break because the draft and the free agency season took precedent, but I have been going through. I'm fascinated to see, not because I have any bias, I just want to know what the data says. What do Sam Ersson's numbers look like when compared to what the team in front of him is doing in terms of block shots? So I'm going through literally every game he's played in the NHL and looking at, because the thing with Sam, like when you look at goalie stats, is like I can't just look at what the team did each game, because there's certain games where he came in relief, he got pulled or whatever. So I want to see, when Sam Ersson is on the ice, how many shots did we attempt to block? How many shots missed the net? So I'll have that up once the season, the summer dies down a bit. And I want to sort of look at that compared to what not only Rick Tockett's teams do, but Todd Reardon's teams, since he's going to be in charge of the defense. And so to me, it's interesting to me to see, like, how much is a team's block shots sort of tendency based on the head coach? How much is it based on the defensive coach? How much is it based on who the defensive players are? Because part of me wonders, okay, Rick Toccett and Todd Reardon are coming in, and they're gonna see the defenseman we have, and they're gonna see Nick Seeler, and they're gonna be like, God damn, that guy blocks a lot of shots. Would that make them? Are they going to impose sort of more of a, hey, Nick, don't block as many shots as you usually do? Or are they going to say, for the first year, Nick, do your thing, and as you do your thing, we'll sort of rein it in over the course of the year? So that's just, to me, that's a fascinating question.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be great. That's going to be a great video. It's going to be a great deep dive there, looking into the block shot stuff. That's huge. I mean, that you talk about, like, yeah, you want your players blocking the shot as a coach or whatnot, but goalies, they want to see them. They want to see the shot. They don't want to have those.
I would want to see the puck.
Yeah, I'd much rather see the puck. If my job is to stop the puck, I want to see the puck personally. I want to see what I'm doing here. Yeah, and I'm just looking back here at the Coyotes. When Rick Toccett was there, looking at their save percentages, the first year Antti Ranta had a .930 save percentage that season. Like that was his
Ranta,
career
baby.
best by far. The next year they had Darcy Kemper. He was at 925. Ranta 906. Aiden Hill 901. Next year they had Ranta again 921, Kemper 928. Like it seems like his goalies always play above their level, and we saw that 2 years ago when he won the Jack Adams. We were like, oh, Canucks are PDO kings, that's why they're winning. But maybe there is something to Rick Tockett's teams in save percentage, because like I said last year, Kevin Lankinen took a big step up in a bigger role for the Canucks when they didn't really expect him to do all that. So you do see that. I also see scrolling through here, new flyer Lane Peterson played for the Coyotes when Rick Tocchet was there. So that makes a lot of sense of why he also came over in free agency. But yeah, Vladar is just a solid backup. And Sam Ersson has never had a season where he goes into the season. We have some lag here. I think we're back. We're back. Sam Ersson has not had a season where he goes into the season having a role, knowing his role, and the role staying that way the whole time.
Correct. People look at how many years. It's very easy to look at Sam Ersson's stats and say, oh, he's been in the NHL for 4 seasons. Yes, but no. It's these last 2 seasons. Last year with Carter Hart, or no, so 2 seasons ago with Carter Hart, he was like, oh, cool, well, I'm the backup. And then Tortorella's like, well, we're in the playoff race. You're going to play 98% of the games. And last year it was, hey, guess what? You're the number 1 and our backup. Your coach doesn't want to play him ever. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I know we were lagging, but Ole Lycksell to the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, Ole Lycksell joining all the former Flyers, Paul Drew, Nick Cousins up there.
I'm sure he's in Belleville, but hey, good. Good on you, Ole. Like, hope you do well.
You were definitely a guy when you played for the Flyers here.
You'll be a guy in 5 years.
We will remember some guys.
We will remember some guys.
You will be among the guys we remember. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Sam Ersson, looking back at that 2023-24 season, I mean, we all point to that stretch, November 3rd to January 18th, 12-3-2, 930 save percentage, 1.8 goals against average. Like that was incredible there. And then the Carter Hart news, and then he started every game pretty much the rest of the way, and the fatigue caught up with him. And the Flyers have not had good defense in front of him either. So
no.
I'm the more we talk about it, I think the happier I am with this Dan Vladar signing. Like getting someone where, you put a goalie in there, he'll have an 890, 895 save percentage, 900. He'll start. He's not going to get pulled. That's all you want. You want a consistent guy that you know what you're getting.
Yeah. Normal Sam and Darth Vladar. So let's go Flyers.
Sam, I am.
I don't expect them to do much more the rest of the day, but I think the rest of the afternoon and evening I'll sit on my phone and watch the other terrible contracts come in through from other teams, and just pretend that in 6-7 years time we won't be doing the same thing.
Yeah, JVR to Detroit on a 1-year contract, so he's playing out the rest of his career. But yeah, if anything else happens, well, I'm free pretty much the rest of the evening.
Same.
So I'll be hopping on if anything else happens. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, hit that bell so you know when we're going live. And of course, if you want to donate, super chats, all that stuff comes to the people you see here, the 2 beautiful faces here, Thomas, Joe, Steve, the Fly Guys podcast, the writers. It goes to those people. There's no commodity. There's no big boss taking everything from the top. It's just the people here. We're just hardworking people trying to bring you the best content that we can. So we appreciate all of your support, especially over the past few weeks here. Has been incredible since the draft season. So keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Yes, sir. It was good to talk to you.
Yeah. Right.
If we don't see each other for a little bit, we'll have stuff out the rest of the summer. So we'll be it's good to take some downtime, but we'll be seeing each other soon.
Yeah, definitely. And Kyle, where can people find you on socials?
Socials, I have one social. Blue Sky, as you see there, chasing the puck. If you search it, you'll find it. And then you can find me here on the Broad Street Hockey YouTube channel, just trying to bring people the sort of content and the community that we could bring.
Okay. All right. You can follow me on Blue Sky at RyanGilbert.bsky.social, or I'm still on Twitter at RGilbertSOP. And until next time, thanks for watching.